So it's new camera day. I'm shooting on the G100 and no, it's not stabilised, but I'm going to learn to live with it. And I'm out today at a lovely deer park with my GH5 and my zoom lens of joy, and I'm here with the very, very talented Rachel Sinclair, who is awesome, and she's giving me some tips and tricks on how to shoot these beautiful deer, which are incredibly tame. Like, I hope I don't get an antler in the bum, but they're just like, they're behind me. And I must say, the face tracking so far on the G100 is well better than my GH5. Small victories, Lumix, small victories. Okay, it just completely caught me off guard, but the G100 counts down from 3 when it's in selfie mode, but not when it's shooting normally. And I really like that. So first impressions so far, it is so incredibly light. Like, my only other smaller micro four size camera is the GX85, and this is considerably lighter. It feels quite like a G7. I do appreciate that the payoff of that is it doesn't have in-body stabilization, but all of my lenses that I use are stabilized, so I'm hoping it won't be too bad. I'm hoping. We'll see in the footage. The electronic stabilization seems to have come on a heck of a long way since Lumix began, so I have faith in it. And I am really enjoying how light it is. Given that I've bought this to be like my hiking, vlogging sort of camera, it's so light. You can absolutely forget that you even have it on you. It's great. I've just used it with my 100 to 400 wildlife lens and it looks absolutely hilarious. But do you know what? It's very, very usable, and I think the images are lovely. It's incredible what we can do now with such a small camera and the micro four size system. I think it's great. The punch-in on the video isn't half as bad as I was expecting. I don't actually have a mini tripod, I'm just holding it in my hand, and I think it's quite usable for the vloggy vlog. I love that the facial recognition actually seems to be working. So far so good on that front. One thing that is significantly terrible is the EVF. It's really, really low quality compared to my other Lumix cameras. But it's not the end of the world, I'd rather have one. So what is the built-in microphone like? I have some green visuals around my face that tells me the microphone's figured out where I'm standing, and who knows what it sounds like. I'm quite excited to find out, because as you probably know on this channel, I forget my microphone quite frequently, so having good quality audio on standby might be wise. 5 AM, not quite awake, forgot my microphone. Also, guess who didn't pack a microphone? I'm very sorry. So this is doing the typical vlogging thing and walking, and I forgot my mini tripod. I'm just holding my camera, and the built-in stabilization is just on standard. So we'll see what that looks like. The lens is obviously stabilized, just not the camera body. It seems to be tracking my face, and it's also the built-in microphone. This is it on standard. Let's have a look on extreme. So this is the stabilization on high, and as you can see I'm punched in a little bit. I'm still only at 12mm, so you do lose a little bit of screen real estate, but I'm intrigued to see how much better it looks on high versus normal, and also built-in mic again. So I'm filming on the G100 and it is a delightful little camera. I thought I'd run through some pros and cons. First of all, it's a delightful little camera. It's super duper light, ridiculously light, really ergonomic on your hand, and very, very, very portable. When I have it on my Peak Design camera clip thing, I can hardly feel it at all. It's brilliant. That being said, it does feel pretty well built. It's kind of like the G7, where it feels like it's made out of plastic, but it's also very, very robust, and Lumix are very, very good at making robust but lightweight cameras. Because I use mostly stabilized lenses, I think the video stability is perfectly usable straight out of camera, and then we can always slow it down and add stabilization in post if need be. I think the selfie mode is perfectly fine. It's not like I'm bouncing all over the place, and I feel like people just really sabotage this camera based on the specs rather than actually going out and using it, because I think it's perfectly usable if your lenses are stabilized. The RAW files, unsurprisingly, given that it is just a micro four thirds sensor, are indistinguishable. I actually have had to look at sort of the RAW information to see which image was shot on which camera. So if you like the micro four thirds image quality, you're not getting any less with this. And with it being sort of a 20 odd or 20 megapixel camera, I'll put the number here. I'm done pixel peeping at this point. With it being a larger megapixel camera, you will get very, very good image quality. The 50p slow-mo is fantastic. The slow and quick slow motion, the 100 frames a second, is very, very grainy unless you have faster lenses. It's not overly anything I really rely on in any of my cameras. It's quite good on the GH5, but again, it can be a little bit noisy and a little bit soft, so don't expect wonders from the 100 frames per second, though it's really nice that that feature is included. I'm going to talk quickly about the stock lens. I bought this camera body only because I already had the stock lens from my GX85. It's the Lumix 12-32, and the stabilization is fab. It sort of packs down into like a little pancake lens. It's very light, and it looks, for all intents and purposes, really, really cheap. But when you use it, the image quality absolutely always blows me away. All of the video stuff looks crisp, all the photographs look crisp, and I've actually taken this lens on the GX85 to Malta. I shall link the video around here somewhere, so if you want to see more from that stock lens, check out that previous video. Let's talk about cons. Oh, that punches in quite significantly. This is not a camera you can use if you want more than one person in frame. There is a punch in whenever you press record on this camera, so what you see on the screen is not how it will record, it will push in. And if you're using the more advanced E-stabilization, it does punch in again even more. It's a little bit tight around if you're doing selfie mode, but for anything else, I think it's perfectly fine. A little bit of a punch in you'll hardly notice, but when you are in selfie mode, if you had sort of a mini selfie stick, which I really need to invest in, instead of just holding it by the base of the camera, I think it won't be too much of an issue, but it's something to bear in mind. The biggest con for this camera, which I think a lot of the other reviews have been very, very vocal about, is if you don't intend on using stabilized lenses, you may run into a little bit of trouble. If the lens doesn't offer the stabilization, you're only left with your in-body E-stabilization, which is not a patch on actual IBIS. So depending on what lenses you intend to use with this camera will sway you one way or the other. But if you are using primes, it'd be fine for photography with a fast enough shutter speed, but your video might be a little bit choppier. The ergonomics of this camera, I've got some clever ways to get around it being so small. One of those is you don't have your back dial. So usually on a camera you'll have your aperture on the front and your shutter speed on the back. The second back dial is on the twisty dial in the middle of the back of the camera. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but I think it's really genius. You can still change settings as quickly as you can using your back dial, but you have all that sort of space saved. Do I wish there was 4K 60? Yes. Am I going to find that on a £400 camera? Hell no. We can't have everything at the end of the day. I wish Lumix would listen to the user base and make basically this camera but with IBIS and higher end video functionality. I mean, it has Vlog built in, which I think is a great addition. So one day they will make a Goldilocks camera that has all of the features, but this is not today. So to conclude, who is this camera for? Basically me. If you already have your Lumix lenses, if you just want something lighter and something that you can vlog and do your day-to-day stuff on, this camera is fab. For my uses, it wouldn't be my only camera. I still love that my GH5 is weather sealed. I still love that I can use my prime lenses and have stabilization. I still love the more pro video features. But this camera fills a lot of those spaces. I could happily go out with this, and have done, and create a very nice vlog, get some nice video footage, get some nice photo footage. This is how close you can get to the deer. They're super, super tame, super tame. For hiking and backpacking and things where you want ultralight gear, it's absolutely going to be my go-to camera for the foreseeable. Provided I'm not in rainy conditions, this is going to be the camera that I'm going to grab, because it weighs nothing. And for me, that is actually sort of the main benefit. I just wanted something that was really, really light, but still packs a punch. And the G100 definitely does. I think I would also very happily use the G100 for work as well for my wedding videography. I do have my S1, my S5, my GH5, but some ceremony rooms might need that additional what if angle. Recently I was shooting in a ceremony room that had a balcony, so I could very happily leave the G100 recording away on the balcony on a mini tripod that I need to buy, and it would grade very well with the rest of my cameras. It would be perfectly fine. Here's some footage I shot from a wedding recently. It's nothing that I'm going to use in the final edit to show you the quality that you can get. It's very, very impressive for the size and the price. So that's my conclusion. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you liked the footage. If you have any questions about the G100, let me know, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Then I can afford a mini tripod.